in authority over us to do their jobs. So this is how I challenge the people who have authority over me. This is what David does. David takes a look at himself and how this thing affects him. What is my job? Am I a leader? Okay, so thank God you have made me a leader. What is my job as a leader? All right, so now that I understand my place, what is it that I do have control over, and how do I go from here? This is just a conversation that goes on in my mind. Yes, I can acknowledge that, there's a song, The Hawkins, tragedies are commonplace, all kinds of diseases, people are slipping away. I tell you, that song has never made so much sense to me until we hit 2020, where people really are dying in the thousands.
Yes. That's right.
It's never occurred to me that we would be able to predict deaths in the millions based off of one disease in 1 year. And the truth of the matter is, I have no control over how a pandemic affects the world. I have control over my current state within this emergency. So what do I know about where I am? I have to recognize my current state. Can I tell you guys something? My current state, I don't want to shock y'all. Just be prepared. My current state is death. My current state is death. The scripture tells me, not I was, but I am crucified with Christ. And though there is COVID-19 that is circulating, the reason why I can confidently say that COVID-19 will never overtake me, I'm not saying that it can't get into my body. I'm not saying that I can't test positive for it. What I am saying is I will never die from a disease because I've already died. The crucifixion that took place is called the sacrifice. I have sacrificed with Christ. I've died with Christ. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, one of my favorite words, however, I live. Yet not I. David is not the one necessarily living. At this point, I've surrendered so that Christ is the one that lives in me. Okay, David, so you just told me that Christ died and you died. Now you're telling me that Christ lives and you live. How does this happen? In our submission, we experience these things with Christ. But there's a relationship that transpires. There's a relationship that transpires.
Take your time, sir.
It then says, and the life which I now live in the flesh, that's where I am. That's where I experience my state of emergency.
That's right.
Are we seeing this? Where I experience my state of emergency is not because of the pandemic. Where I experience my state of emergency is because I understand that there is a life that I now live in the flesh. And looking up this, I'm like, God, what's going on with this? So how do you want me to acknowledge flesh? And if we go to the origin of the word, we know that flesh is to live in the body as opposed to the soul. It's a symbol of that which is external. It's a symbol of that which is external. So now I am realizing that now that I have been crucified with Christ and I have a relationship why. Now the scripture says, for if righteousness, which is the equity of character, if righteousness, which is also our justification, and who God has allowed us to be in the earth, the dead yet now living, the righteousness, for if righteousness comes by the law, or if righteousness comes by something that's man-made, if righteousness comes by a checklist, if righteousness comes by I did this and
Come on
you did
now.
that, if righteousness comes by my own if-then statement, then Christ is dead and made. So that's the challenge, the contrast. But then I said, why are we saying Christ is dead? Because I've always heard he's not on the cross. Get him off of your neck if he's still on the cross. I've always heard crazy stuff like that. When I looked up, what in the world was it that dead wanted to tell us in this place? So as I finish up this part, we'll continue next week. I want to tell you the definition of dead, and I want to tell you the definition of dead in its origin. Dead, in this case, meant to breathe hard, to be enraged, or to be angrily displeased. If I live by a checklist, then the God that I live with has been displeased. He is breathing hard. He has suffered in vain. Vain is simply without cause.
Come on now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sierra, if I live my life by what people think I should be and how they think I should handle the pandemic and what they think I should have, the car they think I should drive rather than the car that I'm driving, then this tells me that where I live, then Christ had already suffered and bled and died for my reason. Yes, sir. But where I am, I realize that being crucified with Christ, I've already died to opinion when I was crucified with him.
Right, man. Come on now.
Nevertheless, where I live right now is nobody's business.
Come on.
You don't have access to this. This is a personal relationship with me and God, and what I give you is what you get. Woo!
That's right. That's right.
Surviving your state of emergency is managing what you have. Surviving your state of emergency is making sure that you stand your ground
That's right. That's right.
and lose nothing.
That's right.
Surviving your state of emergency is acknowledging the truth in what's dead and what's alive. Surviving your truth, surviving your current state of emergency